There is a high probability that at some point in your childhood, you sat in a classroom and drew a very specific, stylized shape in the margins of your notebook. The construction follows exact step-by-step geometric rules. You start with 2 rows of 3 parallel lines. Then you cross the center with tight diagonal strokes and cap the top and bottom to lock the shape into an S. Millions of people across multiple generations and continents know exactly how to draw this. Yet, if you ask anyone where they actually learned it, or what it originally stood for, you are met with total collective amnesia. For decades, the most dominant explanation has tied the design to the American clothing brand Stussy, assuming it was a staple of the 1980s surfer demographic. The problem is, nobody can find a single piece of vintage Stussy clothing or archival catalog featuring the specific design. Even official spokespeople for the company readily admit the shape was around long before they were founded. Others point to the Japanese automaker Suzuki, but the actual Suzuki emblem lacks the distinct vertical lines that define our mystery shape. It also requires us to believe that millions of schoolchildren worldwide spontaneously decided to trace the logo of a foreign motor company in their free time. And despite persistent playground rumors, the shape shares almost no anatomical resemblance with the official logos of heavy metal bands like Slayer or Slipknot. What we are actually looking at is a symptom of human psychology. When faced with an orphaned piece of culture, we naturally try to graft it onto familiar brands and bands to fill the vacuum of its true origin. To find the actual root, we have to bypass internet hearsay and check the physical record. The first hard evidence surfaces in the American graffiti movement of the 1960s and 70s. In 1982, Jean-Michel Basquiat explicitly labeled the shape the classic S of graph when he incorporated it into a painting in New York. But the timeline pushes back even further. Photographer John Nahr captured the shape hiding in plain sight in the background of his 1973 shots of the New York subway system. And the earliest documented sighting places it on the West Coast, photographed on the streets of Los Angeles by Howard Gribble in the late 1960s. These photographs establish a firm chain of custody. The symbol was thriving in street culture long before 1980s apparel brands existed to claim it. The reason graffiti culture adopted it comes down to mechanics. Freehanding perfectly symmetrical block letters with a spray can is incredibly difficult and error-prone. The 6-line drafting trick completely eliminates that frustration. It provides an immediate, foolproof, mathematically sound template that works every time. But utilizing a perfect geometric trick is entirely different from inventing it. The graffiti movement explains how the symbol secured global distribution, but it